Wow, I can't believe you like Battle for Bikini Bottom on Game Boy Advance. Wait till you play the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game on Game Boy Advance.
Well, it can't be that bad, can it?
2 hours later.
Gee, I hope AZ's here.
AZ, what happened?
It was terrible. It was terrible. I played the worst thing imaginable. I played the SpongeBob movie game.
You mean that's not a bad game? I heard it was pretty good.
No. I'm not talking about the console version. I'm talking about the Game Boy Advance version.
Oh, hell no!
No!
Wait, come back!
When it comes to video games, SpongeBob SquarePants has had quite the decent track record, all things considered. I mean, there's Battle for Bikini Bottom, a game that's often considered one of the best 3D platformers ever to be made. And while I haven't personally played this game, I do understand that many people absolutely adore it. One version of the game I have played, however, is the Game Boy Advance version, and while I don't think it's as good as its console version, I still think it's a decent 2D platformer. But the movie game on the other hand, phew, that's a different story. From what I understand, the movie game is generally considered a decent platformer, but has a few flaws because A, it's a movie tie-in game, so it doesn't have as many creative liberties as it could have had, and B, it was apparently rushed, so that doesn't help things, all things considered. But one version of this game I never hear about is the 2D version released on the Game Boy. Now, I've heard people rattle on about the Game Boy Advance version of BFBB, but this game on the other hand, yeah, pretty much no one talks about this game. So I figured, hey, I have a Game Boy, so I might as well talk about this game and say why I like it and why I hate it. And spoiler alerts, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised how good this game was. But of course, I can't just say that it's a good game. You actually have to know why I think it's good. So, let me talk about why I think that the GBA game is a really sort of platformer.
For starters, I really like the animation and design of this game. I mean, from the character's movement to jumping to attacking, even death animation, it all just screams SpongeBob SquarePants, and the whole design of it really reminds me of the movie's design. But there are some limitations. Like for starters, the enemy variations of this game are very minimal. The last game, Battle for Bikini Bottom on Game Boy, didn't have a lot of enemy variations, but there were at least different enemies for each level. But in this game, there's the same generic enemy with a bucket on their head that you fight, and if you're not fighting that, there's either a giant clam or jellyfish. Now, of course, there are some new enemies introduced in every world, but every world either has 1 or 2 new enemies and nothing else. But everything about it is really nice and charming. And in terms of the story of this game, well, as I mentioned before, this is a movie tie-in game, so the story is ripped directly from the movie. Plankton steals Neptune's crown, Mr. Crab gets frozen, and SpongeBob and Patrick head out on a journey to restore Bikini Bottom back to its former glory. Oh yeah, and that's another thing, Patrick's on this journey, and that ties into the gameplay. You see, in a 2D platformer, you usually play as one character. Yes, there can be other people helping you on your journey, but unless you're playing in 2-player mode, it's usually a one-man job. But this game does something different, as you play as 2 characters at the same time, SpongeBob and Patrick. SpongeBob is your main, as you'll use him for running, jumping, and attacking enemies. Patrick, on the other hand, sort of acts like an assistant character, as you'll use him to perform combos like increasing speed or ground pounding, and I really like this as it adds interesting moves to your moveset.
I guess if there's any game I could compare to the gameplay of the SpongeBob game, I would say the Donkey Kong Country series, since those games tend to focus on character combos too. But the fact that I'm comparing SpongeBob SquarePants of all games to Donkey Kong Country says how good the quality of this game is.
This game could have easily just been a regular 2D platformer where you just run and jump at enemies, but because they added all these new moves and combos, it really adds depth to this game, making it feel a lot more different than regular 2D platformers. But of course, the game isn't without its flaws. As I mentioned before, they do reuse the same enemy type throughout the game, especially this one giant clam. Seriously, it just appears out of nowhere and it's always big and it's always in these tight corners and just makes me scared and But no, my real problem with this game is its controls, and I know what you're gonna say, I did praise the game earlier for its combos and stuff, but I mean, I'm referring to the base game's controls, as in you're running and jumping, and my gosh, this game is slow! SpongeBob moves at a snail's pace and attacking enemies isn't fun at all. Now I did mention that you have combos, but even pulling off these combos takes so long, like my gosh. And did I mention the screen crunch on this game? Like most GBA platformers, this game deals with screen crunch, and it's pretty bad. Sometimes you get left on these cliffs and you can't see what's going on, so you have to make blind jumps. Sometimes they lead you on a landing spot, but other times you fall straight to your death. And this game likes maze-like levels. Often I make it to a spot where I think is the right path, but it turns out I've actually been going backwards because of the screen crunch, and also a lot of these spots look the same. The levels don't add too much in set pieces, so most of the time I feel like I'm progressing, but I'm actually going backwards, and it's just
Okay, I think I'm done venting now. I think it's time to say some good things about this game.
This game uses a Super Mario Bros. 1 style timer, and it doesn't make sense for these maze-like levels. It's not like you're going from one point to another. No, most of the time you go into secret areas and
Okay, but for reals now, let's actually get into some of the good stuff about this game.
The level design of this game is really good. Now, it's nothing crazy or anything, but at least the levels are fun to go through. Now, in terms of gameplay variations, there's these paddy wagon / chase stages, where SpongeBob and Patrick are moving towards the camera, and you have to jump over any highlighted objects. Now, if I had to compare this gameplay to anything, I would say it's a mixture between Crash Bandicoot Boulder Stages and Subway Surfer, in the sense that you're moving towards the camera, but you can't really control yourself. And these stages aren't anything special, it's simple and it's not really that challenging, but at least it changes up the gameplay, so there's that going for it.
But yeah, I actually really enjoyed the SpongeBob movie game on Game Boy Advance, but in terms of the quality of this game compared to its console game, I can't really say. Both games seem to be mixed overall, so pick your poison I guess, but in terms of my opinion, I actually really enjoyed this title. But at least I'm done of talking about all the SpongeBob GBA games. It's not like there's any more. There's more, isn't there? I'm done. I can't. I'm done.